Science Officer's log. Supplemental. Ida Scott reporting. God, I'm afraid. I hope someone will eventually find this. Or somewhat more optimistically, someone will listen to this after I bring it and all the other log recordings back alive in perfect condition, and happily drop them on my desk at my superintendent. Study these, I'd say smugly, and walk off. But no, someone's definitely going to find this in a pile of wreckage. I wonder what I was thinking. Well, Ida, you survived a dead planet orbiting a black hole that happens to contain the powers of Satan, and you've reported back to tell the tale. I think I have a good idea. Why don't we just go back in space again on another dangerous mission? That, personally, to me, seems to be the smart thing to do. I'm shaking. You'll forgive me if I stumble over my words, but I have to get this down, so someone knows what's happened out here. What we've encountered. Because we're all going to die. Let me start from the top. I'm in a new position as head science officer of a space station on the border of, well, nothing. Wild space, they call it. Undocumented. Barely probed by little probes going about the stars. Become recently more commercially viable for the institute running the program to send people, then probes. I don't understand why some bloke in a suit behind a desk who earns far more than I ever will decided it. We're the second team on the base. The previous team served 2 years. They've left. It goes like that. There are 4 of us here, for the record. Their names are Commander James Bletchley, Dr. Harrison Kettle, Lieutenant Louisa Thompson, and myself. I shan't say anything that will reflect badly upon them, although I would like to. The captain is a peevish man. He's short and bearded with wire-frame glasses bounced on his nose, thin hair combed. If I were to describe his features in one word, it would be beady. I'm not sure about his glasses. These days, the laser corrective surgery can be done for pennies, though I suspect he likes how he looks with them a little too much for that. He's an odd fellow. Not that I've not met men like him before, afraid men that you aren't really sure why they took the job, but there's a sense of pride in him. This almost inconceivable, contradicting level of ego that shouldn't be there in a man that squeaks out his every other word. The doctor. No, not the doctor. Space station's doctor. He's lanky. Long black hair, tall, thin. His work's a distraction to him, but he likes the lab coat. His skin has always had a slight tinge of blue that I've always been too afraid to ask about. Plight or fault? Irritating. We share a bunk room, which I'm almost inclined to say would be a breach of privacy. With a station not too small, it is impossible to sleep elsewhere. Each night, he constantly informs me that he has no sexual inclinations towards me and that I should be comfortable. I am not. The lieutenant is the enigma of the bunch. She is competent, but any interactions we've had have been cursory. She has blonde hair, wintry complexion, and her manner, too, is wintry. She keeps to herself. Neither Dr. Kettle or I have any impression of her. I believe she's in a relationship with the captain. He's too protective of her, constantly praising her. He says that they served together in their last long haul. That would explain it, probably. Nothing else to do between ports. The first few days here have been absolutely lovely. the documenting of stellar phenomena, the beginnings of spatial cartography, and their analyzation of bits of dust, I believe is the technical term. Well, it was positively euphoric. I'm sure you don't want to hear about that. You want to hear about the big, obvious thing. But if you should care to hear me going on for quite some time on stellar iota, then view documentation tape 4C. I do my best to keep everything filed correctly. The big, obvious thing showed up yesterday. Well, a part of it did. I was at my station at the time, really going at a bit of space dust, when everything stopped. All of the alarms blared. The whole station shook. Spatial debris, the captain announced on the intercom, and no sooner than I had looked out the window than I could see it was much worse than that. There are a few ships that have been out this far, but one ship was a pioneer, the Broadsword. It was the ship that shuttled the station itself here. It dropped it right here on this spot 2 years ago, and it's went on, out of contact, to chart the galaxy. Long time ago now. We're the second crew to serve on this station, and the others returned to their colonies. I don't think that I can really do it justice or anything. The ship was torn. It was a corpse, floating there, just lying there in space, dead. The largeness of it took me back. Of course, this ship had to be huge to carry the station out here. Hell, we were just a station. This ship was like 40 times our size. Frayed wires sitting in the nothingness. Debris clung to it. The paneling was ripping off, ferocious, animalistic, precise. Burn marks everywhere across it. Around the ship's cockpit, you could see the light orange remains of a cutting laser's mark. The wreckage of it was as traumatic as seeing a body. And that was before I saw the bodies in the wreckage. God, the bodies. Needed a lot for a huge ship like that. Loading out into space, some clinging to the ship for dear lives, only just to hang there like macabre flags. The cockpit was the worst. Remember how I said the cockpit was cut open? A purposeful maneuver, to be sure. That's how we knew whatever had done this was intelligent. Mind you, but the people had been sucked out of the cockpit by the vacuum. Shattered glass, well, transparent alloy was all around them, sharp and fragmented, bloody bits of glass sticking out of these poor souls' necks and chests. These people, they'd been gored. Imagine, you are on a lifeboat in rocky waters and you're clinging on. And straight ahead of you, you see an aircraft carrier begin to sink. I'm sorry. All that detail was probably unnecessary. Facts. I will stick to the facts. I'll try to stick to the facts. All right. Here are your facts. We're alone. And something's out there. I never much liked the idea of the unknown, which is odd, since the unknown comprises pretty much the entirety of my chosen career. It's the 51st century, and although we know so much, there's so much out there that science simply cannot measure. So much out there in my job that I can't explain. We at Torchwood are supposed to document the unexplainable, working for Torchwood, so that future people will understand. But you can't do that, really. That's in the nature of the unexplainable. You can't explain it. Since my time on Crop Tour, I've been focused much less on those ideas. It scares me. There are some things that the human race will never know, never reach. There are some things that I can't get to, so it's my job to quash the more known unknown within my grasp and make it into something a little more malleable. That's That's the job of a scientist. It may sound like unmeasurable jargon when we all discuss our photometric readings and Acheron relays, but ultimately it's all a matter of rationalization. Us poor, small people looking out into the infinite dark of space, trying to quantify it in our minds. Astronomical units, light years, parsecs, all fancy words for referring to big, large sections of nothing but black. If I die out here, well, it will be dark in darkness, so large that if my body floats for 10,000 years, it won't touch a star. It's called wild space. But the most wild thing about it is the enormity of these swaths of midnight, streaking out towards forever. Forgive me, I sound insufferably poetic. I keep thinking of the dead ship. We've recovered logs from it, you know. Detailed logs. About everything they've discovered. Meticulous. Like the log you're listening to now. Except there's absolutely nothing on relevance on them before they all died. The scanners didn't pick up anything. There wasn't a macrocosm of radiation that sucked out all the people dry. There wasn't a spatial distortion detected by the ship's computers before the people were turned inside out, nor documentation of an alien ship moving in closer, no. It's not death of any particular origin detectable. Death just descended on them. And we have to hope that it doesn't to us. The captain has a theory, or a nervous breakdown. One of the two. He's locked himself in his quarters, and even his paramour, the lieutenant, is denied entry. He screams. He screams that it's all closing in. The people who died, torn apart like that on that ship out there, well, they died because they deserved it. That the gods of the universe decided that man simply mustn't have too much knowledge. Curse them for their hubris. But they just went out too far. No, you simply can't go out too far, he says. You can't go out too far. No, you can't. You simply can't. You mustn't. It's the end. It all stops. You can't go out that far. You can't. No, you can't. You simply can't. You mustn't. Don't you see it? We're sitting out there on the edge of the universe, and if we just push and let go, we'll never come back. So we must hold on, mustn't we? We have to hold on. We have to hold on. The man is raving. And I must be crazy too, because he's starting to make sense. Just because you can understand why someone went mad, does that make you mad as well? Probably not, I think. If you read this message, turn back now. Except there are things we will never know. Save yourself. In the distance, I look at the stars. One of them has stopped. That's what happened. Scientifically, my brain tells me that stars stop all the time. We don't even know that they stop for quite some time because of the fact that light takes years to travel. Light years. Space and time travel, the doctor fellow said about his little box thing. I asked if I could come with him before he left. "Ah," he had said, "you're already out there, Ida Scott," and he'd smirk, like saying my name in his funny little high-pitched voice was an intellectual achievement. The further out you look, the further out you travel, the more you're already with me. Because of the light, Ida. You know what they say, I forget who said it actually, but it's all true. It's true. The more humanity looks out into space, out into the stars out there with all their hopes and dreams, the more they look back into time. You're already a time traveler, Ida Scott. You're doing incredible things. savor it.
I wish I hadn't. I wish he had taken me, and that I never came out here. Never came out into this accursed dark. I'm so afraid. They're coming for us. That star in the distance I'm talking about. Well, stars stop all the time. Like I said, it's not something out there. It's not something so dark it blots out it all. One star at a time. It's just the sky. I'm fine. There probably aren't aliens out there. The midnight isn't coming closer every minute, waiting to gobble us up. We'll be fine. We'll just have to wait. That's right. We'll just have to wait. If there's really something out there, it will come for us soon. We just have to wait to find out.